YouTube, welcome to the top 8 grand finale and top deck list. I just want to say thank you very much for those hanging in there with me. I know a lot of you hate Yu-Gi-Oh right now. You even hate watching it. I've been reading a lot of comments saying that DK's Meta Weekly is more boring to watch because of the meta. It's not my fault. It's just the freaking game. So through these trying times, still putting on the video in the background and watching as long as you can or just listening to it, it means a lot. I know the game sucks. Maybe even September is going to suck. I'm hoping by October that the game will no longer suck. I think that's going to be the main point of when at least Maliss will get hit. So until then, thank you for supporting me. I appreciate you. If you stop by the Twitch stream, I even more so appreciate that. It's rough. But watch as long as you can. That supports me. Thank you. Let's go.
There can only be one winner, and you're looking at it. Let's go.
Gold Sark is going to be not a Thunder Dragon deck. What the heck? It's Maliss. Wow. Banishing Dormouse. Dormouse back on the field. Banish the White Rabbit. We're going to summon itself onto the field. Tribute off the field. Let's do it. It's too linear-minded to think about what can negate the Nibiru. You have to think more of what's going to give them too much resources before the Nibiru, and you want to cut them off from it. So we did perform a perfect Nibiru there. Let's Moon of the Closed Heaven, March here. We already used up our normal summon, by the way. We had to normal the sword, which unfortunately sucks. The Ryzeal would have not been able to search because we had a Nibiru on the field. We have Red Ransom, White Rabbit banishing. White Rabbit's going to set from the deck as we're going to have the MTP to non-target banish. Looks like we're trying to non-target banish the Moon. Or, no, we're not. Now, the Ash Blossom will be able to negate the MTP, but then the Call of the Grave will finger the Ash, or instead, we're going to be fingering the Requiem. Cross out, designate, negate, chain the Lancia. Your Lancia stops cross out from stopping called by, which your Lancia stops your called by, and your Lancia stops your MTP. So you essentially negate without negating your called by, and your MTP is no longer activatable as soon as this resolves. Well, you could search, you just can't banish. Yep. Yeah, oh, okay, are you sure? I don't know. Doesn't seem like a good, yeah, oh, shoot, I did what? What did I do? I can't MTP now? My called by also didn't work? All right, let's do it. Let's keep on going. We're going first against Droll, Ash, Fool Us. Dormouse, banish the March Hare. Add back to the hand here. We're going to Call by the Grave, finger the Ash instead of using the Apollo USA, and I'm out. I don't want to play this out. Tract, add a Lurie. We do have Ash and Droll. We're going to chain the Droll to the Lurie triggering Engrave. Come forth into the Requiem. Now, Fiendsmith does not care about Droll outside of the Engraver adding the Tract. That is when they do care about the Droll. Otherwise, they completely play through it. In fact, when you put Fiendsmith in your deck, you're giving yourself Droll resilience, where inherently Ryzeal cards are not so good against Droll, which would be a good case to add Ryzeal to your deck. And the turn on a triple pop plus an Ash Blossom to gain interaction with the deck. Normal Droll into Typhon. Now the detonator cannot activate. The non-activatable detonator now gets spun back into the extra deck we go. 2,900 to the face, and we are backed up by, we're gonna have a March Hare in our hand. March Hare? Nope. Okay, we want a GWC reborn it back, I guess. I'm not gonna say this is a mistake because GWC could reborn it back. Impulse is here. Let's reborn it back, sure. Imperm, negate the White Rabbit from setting the NTP. Negate onto thee, as we still have Impulse. Cannot negate the special summon of the Sword Ryzeal. I can negate the special summon effect of the Ice trying to summon from the deck. Negate. Oh boy. Played right into that impulse. Sword, take out the white rabbit, and then pass on sword. Anything we could top deck into. There are so many different cards where boss is going to scoop, but we do have that Ash Blossom to potentially stop whatever that one card play is. Jesse is here. We're going to link off 2 bodies into a Lizard Dose. Lizard Dose, by cost, will banish the white rabbit. The effect is to change the attack, and then it comes back. White rabbit set into the back row, our MTP, and we are popping off from here. Very well done. Into our red ransom here. Let's Ash negate the red ransom as we MTP, banish the red ransom to then search our deck, trigger the red ransom, summon back, then banish the deck to then summon. Let's come forth back onto the field as we banish the deck our Dormouse. Wow. Pretty much we could have drawn into anything to just make a Lizard Dose. Lizard Dose was the way. Lizard Dose or even making a Little Knight could have been a play. Little Knight is negatable by a Veiler, though. Well, now, if there's another card in the field, they could chain the Little Knight to dodge the Veiler or the Impermanence, since it's banishing by effect and not by cost. Back in the field, Chessie. Let's further go into the Access Code Talker. Access the codes, boost, 5300, banish the binder, wipe away the sword. Back onto the field, let's Fool Loss, which will not result in a draw here. That's a Scooperoo. Let's hop into another duel. We have Pop Pop, Imperm, and then we have Pop 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 and Negate, so we have 7 Disruption. Summon our Detonator, banish the Detonator, we lose all of that, and now we just have Pop and Imperm. 2 Disruption. From what? We had 7? From 7? We knocked off 5 Disruption with a Metal Tronus? Think about that. That's crazy. Maybe you will now be convinced to play Metal Tronus yourself. Imperm. Negate the Ryzeal. The Plasma Hole is only a double disruption if you have a Detonator on field, because it pops, then gives you an additional pop, and now it's just 1 pop. Let's set up the cross. Nah, Chastain. They're not convinced to play Metal Tronus. What the heck? Let's make our Ryzeal Detonator. Ryzeal Detonate, attach our own aggregates. Well, we could protect our Xyz from being destroyed, but we can't protect the cross. But we could change to the Plasma Hole trying to pop the cross by instead popping the Duo Drive. We still lose the cross. And then our cross is also gone. 4,800. Why didn't we access our own cross within turn 1? We didn't banish the cross, we banished the plugin. How did I miss that? I only mentioned plugin. That is my mistake. We lost cross and plugin. That is massive. That pot of D, now I don't think it was worth it. What the heck? Special the sword, searching for the ice. Please activate the Detonator or the Ash. I really want to use Triple Tactics talent, and now you did it. Aggregator detaching on ice is perfect because we're going to summon a monster from the deck, which will activate on a separate chain link on the lower chain link to the aggregator, negating that card, thus we don't even activate that card we summon. As we now Triple Tactics talent, try to take control as we're going to chain the Detonator to pop. You targeted my card. I'm going to chain Plasma Hole to dodge your targeting effect. This could be used to dodge a card like Impermanence if you want, or be dodging getting popped. Summon the Detonator, now we pop nothing, and we take control of your Star Ryzeal. Detonator on summon is going to attach the aggregator to battle we go. We would have given that monster back, so let's kill it before giving back to you. Let's detach on our other battle. So you would think on the attack, Imperm, but then we could chain pop, so that would not be a good idea where we wanted to negate the effect of protecting itself. We have triple disruption. 7th Ascension, this is perfect. It's our 1-card combo play. Add the 7 Tachyon, return back the Ash Blossom with the 7 Tachyon, fully negated Detonator, but we don't have 0 disruption. We still have 1. That 1 disruption is the aggregator. How do we perfectly detach aggregator to ensure that it negates an important card? Well, we're going to make an Astrofield, which will just return the Detonator back to the extra deck before we can even activate the aggregator on the effect of the ice to negate a newly summoned card. Damn. I can't believe Maybach's going to lose this, right? I mean, he should lose. Yeah. Metal Tronus helped a bit. yeah, Maybach had the benefit of going first, but then we had the Metaltronus to knock off 5 forms of disruption. Well done from both players. We'll top in a game number 2. And the dude opens up a Metaltronus. Holy shite. Now, we could cross out designate the Metaltronus if we play it ourselves. We very likely do not play it ourselves. Let's speed this up. Does Metaltronus target? Because you see what I see? Let's make it so we don't get Metaltronus. And this is what I love about a best of 3. We learn from game 1 to counter game 2. Let's read this card. Target. Well, make it so I can't get targeted. There you go. Can't target me now. Whoops. What the? And what's crazy is the Star Liege is targetable because it's not at 2,000 attack, but it is because the Duo Drive has 2 materials, thus now making the Star Liege also untargetable. So we can't Tronus anything. Completely across the board, fully untargetable. The Aggregator can't negate anything, besides the cross, that is. We're going to Imperm, negate the Ryzeal. How do we out this? You may be thinking Exciton Knight, right? Well, the Star Liege says, not only are you untargetable, can't be destroyed by card effects. Plasma Hole pop 2. Dude opened up Metaltronus and is still gonna lose because of the untargetable field. That is incredible. And Maybach has no idea that he actually countered that card until possibly now. Now he gets that validation of this was in fact the best absolute play to make. Wipe away the sword. The cross is negated by the Aggregator. Unbelievable. Star Liege to counter the hard counter. Begin. Max C in the standby, cross out, designate, negate. And then we now have our 7th Ascension. Let's speed this up. Set pass, cross, return 2 back in the deck, draw 1. Oh my Jesus, Maybach, are you in trouble? Now, there's no detonator on field, but does that matter? There could still be a detonator on the field. How can there be a detonator on the field? This is a detonator play. You may not see it, but I see it. And first of all, we have to get a Ryzeal card in graveyard because we have no Ryzeal card in grave or banish. So we need to negate something with the cross. After we negate with the cross, that's going to put a Ryzeal in the grave, then Plugin's going to reborn it, then Plasma's going to pop a card in the field, then Plasma on the same turn it's sent to the grave and even activating to pop a card in the field, it's going to banish itself from engraved to then make the detonator during the opponent's turn. Get ready for it. Pot of D, banish off the top of the deck, 10 cards, draw 2. Tachyon, don't mind if I do, grab the Ryzeal. We are going to send the aggregates. Aggregate is going to attempt to negate the cross. We have to get a material off of the Duo Drive. We have to. Now we could do it. Plug-in is ready to reborn, and then Plasma Hole get popping, and then Plasma Hole go into the detonator. Now, Plasma Hole instead could go into a Baguska. Maybe you want to do that instead. You tell me. Let's see. Normal, the Ice Ryzeal. Imperm, negate the ice. We're ready. We could rank 4 Xyz with the plugin plus the Plasma Hole. Did we wait too long? It's too late. Too late! Can't be destroyed by card effects, so now the Plasma Hole plug and play is no good. Trying to think. We could have Plasma Hold on the lower chain link and then use plugin on the higher, but that would require, in the TCG, you'd probably have to cheat here, but if you didn't want to cheat, you'd have to have a spell or trap card in the hand. And what that means is you would need a valid Xyz summon on the activation point of the Plasma Hole, even though you don't want to summon that Xyz. You want to summon a detonator. So you're activating Plasma Hole, but you don't have to validate that to your opponent. They have a legal Xyz on activation of Plasma Hole, and then you change what you summon by going into a detonator instead, and then it's protected from the Exciton Knight wiping the field thanks to the Star Liege protecting your cards, and that would be the way to do it. Is that understandable? Utopic Ray Lancer being in the extra deck plus a spell trap card in hand, but then you summon a detonator instead. Or you just do it anyway. And your opponent can't check your extra deck. Let's take out, don't cheat in the TCG though, unless you're friends with the judge. Ash off the top of the deck, what the heck is this? Bro, what? 2-1, all right, let's go. Now, as we're hopping into this next duel, hopefully this makes it into the Meta Weekly YouTube video. There's a situation with the Plasma Hole plug and play of going into the detonator on why he could not do it, but it was due to an accidental misclick or a misplay, and that is the additional effect of Plasma Hole. You destroy the card, then you can optionally, it has to be a Ryzeal card that you attach from the graveyard onto your rank 4 Xyz. Now, Duo Drive has to attach a Ryzeal. Plasma Hole has to attach a Ryzeal. Detonator does not have to attach a Ryzeal. So due to that, that could cause some confusion on thinking that maybe the Plasma Hole can attach a non-Ryzeal from the graveyard onto the monster. And why does that matter? Well, I emphasized that we needed a detached card off the Duo Drive in the graveyard to make the plugin activatable, but what we did after making the plugin activatable, we accidentally attached our only Ryzeal card in graveyard, thus making the plugin not activatable. Thus, we could not plug in into the Plasma Hole play into the detonator or a Baguska before they made the Exciton Knight. So you do have to be careful about that. If you're, and you really want to know this is not an obscure play. If the opponent uses Full Loss against you, it is, I believe, one of the best plays to just make a Duo Drive, they draw one, search a plugin, search a Plasma Hole. Ideally, you have a Star Ryzeal to detach and set the cross, and then you're going to, let's say with that additional Star Ryzeal on the field, plug in Reborn, go into the detonator play, but make sure the Plasma Hole does not unnecessarily attach a monster that you need to summon with the plugin to make that play. Does that make sense? Let's go. Dormouse, Imperm, negate. Not today, mate. And scoop. What do we do? You have a play plus an extender, and they have banish, negate a monster, negate a special summon, plus a Droll Knockbird. About 6 forms of disruption. Impulse, negate the GWC, which having a March Hare in hand does help us play around that. We're going to banish the Binder come forth, back onto the field, as we do get to draw, unfortunately not into a hand trap. That's right, unfortunately, our field is not even better than it already is, as you have the White Rabbit to set up the MTP to non-target banish alongside the non-target banish of the Cryptor. Victinium, good on you for hoping the opponent disconnects maybe, right? White Rabbit, set up the MTP, just never surrender. You never know what could happen. Cryptor, banish, away the Chessie come back, Apollo, negate the comeback, Mouse and Underground, MTP, non-target banish. That's enough, right? Yeah. Game 2. I mean, think about this. There are endless videos online of marathons where the person in front is celebrating early and then they don't win. Gianna just showed me a very recent one, right, Gianna? What was that? Drew's... The what game? The dude did a fatality combo wombo, and then he stood up, and the dude had like a sliver of life points left, so the game was not over, but he thought it was enough damage to win, and then he had to jump back in his chair at the last second to try to finish the rest of the game, and then he ended up freaking losing after doing his little celebration stand-up. That was not an old video, right? That just happened. So, yeah, you know, people can always throw at the last second. Maybe we could watch that video. John, can you get that video? Maybe link it to me? Ash, negate the Chessie mate. Is that Street Fighter? What was that? Street Fighter. Oh, my Jesus. Let's further link this up and do a link decoder. Oh my, we are drawn like crazy, and we don't care because we have the attack. Can we perform lethal damage? Dark's gonna steal a monster from the opponent's graveyard. Come to me, drew a swarm, March Hare, banish away the white rabbit here, as we then summon back to then set from the deck our GWC. GWC is activatable to summon the Dormouse back onto the field. We have the Red Ransom searching our deck for the Maliss and Mirror, further going into an Axis Code Talker here. Access the codes as we boost up. Call by the Grave is going to be fingering the Red Ransom on the resolution of the attack gain. Now, generally, the Access Code Talker could only pop twice. That would be a Splash Mage plus a Dark Monster. By getting rid of the Red Ransom, is there another monster we could banish? We still have 2 Darks, we could only banish one of them, and then we would want to later make a Splash Mage to give us our second pop. Banish away the Dark, take out the White Rabbit. Ooh, what the heck? We got rid of Access Code Talker for the Splash Mage. What the? Let's now reborn back onto the field the Dormouse. Dude's got 24 cards left in his deck, now 23. White Binder, banish from either player's graveyard, activating the set from the deck of GWC. Yeah, that wasn't enough. But I think you could say we tried. We're going to banish the White Binder, summon back onto the field. The Red Ransom, trigger the White Binder to come forth back onto the field. Draw 1 into our own Maxi. We still have the GWC, which is not activatable. We have to banish a mouse to even use it the turn it was set. All right, yeah. You did what you could do. Unfortunately, you didn't have a way to make a Splash Mage. By fingering the Red Ransom on resolution, that was smart. That was beautiful. The Red Ransom, by fingering her, it stopped 2 extra bodies on the field. Those 2 extra bodies would have been making a Splash Mage, a Cryptor. So you got to think about that. And you have to toggle on to make that play. What? DDB, what are you doing? Set 2 pass, we have Impulse, which if we activated from the hand would have turned off our use of Maxi. We would activate the Maxi early. It would also turn off the Droll. It would turn off the Apollo USA on the follow-up turn. Now beyond that, we have the Droll, the Ash, the Impulse. Let's see what's good. MTP is not a form of disruption here. As we're going to banish the Chessie. Chessie is going to get hit with the Maxi. We have an Ash and a Called by the Grave. Let's Ash negate the Maxi. So a small nuance here is, how do I know to Ash or Called by? Well, if you want to potentially finger their Ash and you want to finger yourself, you want to make sure you use your own Ash as early as you can, because that's the most likely card in the entire game of what you're going to use your finger on. Finger their Ash. And you always want to avoid fingering yourself by just using your own Ash early. Let's banish, draw 2. March Hare here, draw on Lockbird on the resolution of the draw 2, thus we're not going to be able to draw an additional card with the Binder. Come back, March Hare, White Rabbit, set up the GWC. Further going into the Lizard Dose, can't imperm the dose. By cost, banish. Chessie banishes by effect. Maliss and Mirror banishes by effect. GWC banishes by cost. Come forth, Chessie. Red Ransom, come back, Impulse, negate. That is great. Well done. Now, what is a way where we could have circumvented that scenario here? What you could have done is, on the banish of Ransom, you could chainlink to banish something else that would trigger in the same chainlink, which the March Hare could help with that if we even had that play, which it looks like we didn't. We have already banished everything and triggered their effect. Just a small detail you always want to be looking out for. If you could chainlink block against an Impulse, if you have White Binder, you want to chainlink block it against an Ash. 23 to the face. We got the MTP non-target banish plus a negate with the Impulse. Oh my. Maxi in the draw phase, don't mind if I do. DDB, you just got to go all the way. Who cares? Let's do it. Let's Impulse, negate the White Rabbit, while we still have a non-target banish, but you don't want a non-target banish to Dormouse, it just comes back. Let's link this off into a Lingaribo, pinning down the MTP, as we now use our own MTP to grab the March Hare, but unfortunately it's not a non-target banish since we don't have a mouse link. We're going to chain the GWC to bait the Lingaribo mate. I am not taking that bait. I will not fall for it. Reborn back the Red Ransom. I do not care. Now, we're going to be activating the Dormouse to come back onto the field. Red Ransom is just searching for a follow-up play. Who says that there's going to be a follow-up turn? There likely is. I don't think we could lethal off of this. We're going to further go into a Splash Mage. What the bell? You topped a bell to negate the Splash Mage, and it's the new alt art bell? What the hell? Damn. That was not on the summon of Splash. It was right before Splash. Dark, Steel, the Jessie, MTP. It not only banishes, it stops the summon. You have to summon to where you're pointing to, and you're pointing to nowhere. Yep, DDB, that was unfortunate, my friend. I mean, you back-to-back got max seed. That is really uncool. Not a Fictinium, of course. You always have to blame the game, not the player. Lethal damage. Lancey in the draw phase, you know it. Well, I completely end my turn. Good job. Fua loss in the draw phase. You Lancey me, I Fua you. It's only fair. Well, let's fire off with the 7 Tachyon. Grab the X Ryzeal. Return back. Special the X Ryzeal. We have no way to chainlink block it from the Ash, but he does not Ash anyway. Grab the sword. Sword special, searching for the ice. Oh, you saw normal summon for the deck. This is turn 2, so we could be just trying to put up lethal damage here, and that would be it. We're gonna set the plug-in into our backer. We already have the cross in hand. Let's make our Ryzeal detonator. Detonator is here at 3,000 attack, attached from engrave. If we were to make a Dugaris, that would be an additional 4,200. So that'd be 7,200 damage, plus the node. Node plus the Dugaris is game. So it's 5,600 plus an additional 3,000, thus we have to imperm negate. Negate. And we're going to dodge it. 6,000 plus 14, 7,400 if we use the detonator to pop the Dugaris to dodge the impermanence. But we still have Node Ryzeal's effect to reborn from engrave. Does it reborn in defense? Special summon it in defense. So we're gonna have a 6,000 attack detonator, and we need 2,000 more damage to win. So we just succeeds with the node. That would be enough, would it not? Buh. Boost, 6,000. Wait, do we need that card to no, we have more than enough. We could still return to the bottom, draw 1, and still use Node Ryzeal for game. 7,400, this is it. Get rid of the Plasma Hole, reborn. Let's make the Musketeer, and that is an exact 8,000 for game. Then they have a March Hare. Did you cross negate? What did you negate? What? Why did we? Okay, we're gonna pop, and then we're also gonna negate, right? We didn't cross negate yet. Wipe away the March Hare, and on the resolution of the March Hare. Did we okay, we still have the Castell to return back. Ooh, this is freaking me out. Lethal damage, well done. We had a monster removal plus a pop of the detonator. I forget if we even used cross in anything. I guess we still had that as a final backup play. The cross got negated. We were only using the cross to draw a card. We didn't use cross to actually negate anything. So with an additional follow-up to negate a potential Nibiru, very well done. Protection through Nibiru and the ability to get rid of 2 bodies on field. Let's hop into another one. Lancey is good. Now, if we remember the game state of the previous duel, what was the potential mistake if we were to analyze that very quickly? If we go on to the Ryzeal deck type breakdown, we can remember that the field was a Dugaris, a Node, and a Detonator. What's very important about this is you have to identify, is there any hidden information that was needed to perform lethal damage, or did they have lethal on field? The answer would be, they had lethal on field without any additional cards. And what that means with the impermanence, as I said earlier in the tournament today, trying to identify the last possible moment to use a card and using that as a routine and just autopiloting with that way of thinking is a big mistake in some instances. And this was that instance where we waited for Dugaris to activate. Why are we waiting when they don't need any additional card to chain the detonator to pop the Dugaris to dodge the impermanence? So you would have to imperm preemptively before it activates. And then if it were to activate and you chain pop it, it's still negated. And there's no other way to get around it. They'd be stuck with a 3,000 attack. a 1400, which would reborn and go into an Xyz. That's not enough. What they would have to do is hopefully the Plasma Hole would be able to Xyz within the battle phase. And I think we actually probably still had game if we had a Utopic Ray Lancer. What we would do is Node would send the plugin Reborn, make an Xyz, attack with the detonator and a duo drive, and then you would, I mean, how do we get the plasma holes in the hand though? So we would need another spell and trap card. We couldn't summon Zeus. We couldn't summon a Twin because Twin's not in the freaking game. We just had to imperm that. That was the way. All right, let's go. The rank 4 Xyz lock stops you from Zeusing for game. Full loss in the draw phase. Let's mouse an underground, banish in the deck, our door mouse. Let's speed this up. They discard Plasma Hole. I know, you needed Plasma Hole in the grave, but another spell and trap card in hand to summon the Utopic Ray Lancer, which I don't even think he's playing. He is. He is playing Utopic Ray Lancer. So Utopic Ray would have only been game if we had another spell and trap card plus Plasma Hole in graveyard. Cryptor, MTP, non-target banish, non-target banish. We also have the mirror, which can negate a monster. At least triple disruption here. X Ryzeal plus the aggregator. Now, negating the Cryptor, as we've seen multiple times in the event today, is not a big deal. As soon as we could summon a monster that it's pointing to, which could be the Druid Swarm or the GWC summoning, and then it could still activate and fulfill the entire effect under it being negated. We're going to grab a March Hare to non-target banish away the X Ryzeal. We're now going to plug in Reborn back the X Ryzeal onto the field to go into an Exciton Knight. Now we are in a weird spot here, except that we have the Maliss and Mirror to banish away the Cryptor, then it just comes back on a new chain link, and the Exciton Knight is not a hard once per turn. It's only once per chain. It is activatable again, but it's currently negated. Some Ryzeal players are playing Book of Moon and Eclipse, Book of Eclipse that is. If your card's already negated, you can activate, then chain a card that flips it face down, and it would be able to activate. We are going to set up the Ryzeal Cross here. We are ready with the Cryptor to non-target banish whenever we want. We're going to call by the grave, finger the in-grave chassis. We're going to Cryptor, return back the Maliss and Mirror to non-target banish away. What are we banishing? The Cross. Cross is gone for good. Now, from here, we are going to be triggering the chassis. It is negated because of the call by the grave. We have the Castel, which is going to shuffle back into the deck the Cryptor. We don't want it engrave. We don't even want it banished. The GWC could summon it back. We have Druid Swarm, which is going to banish the Star Ryzeal, attempting to be reborn by the Node. Node targeting to reborn, no good for you. Take out the Maliss. We have the X Ryzeal locking us in a rank 4 Xyz only. Now, the Exciton Knight will be activatable during the opponent's battle phase. We have to find a way to get rid of it before we enter the battle phase. Otherwise, they don't have any real form of disruption. They don't have a second level 4 monster to use the Plasma Hole to Xyz into something like a Baguska. Let's further go into the Link Decoder. Let's March Hare, banish the White Rabbit here. White Rabbit, come back. Further go into the White Binder. White Binder, banish away the Plasma Hole. So no crazy battle phase play where you attack over one Xyz and then they're able to make a Zeus with the other. Druid Swarm, getting rid of the Exciton Knight before the battle phase. Dormouse, come back. Yep, scoop it up as we should. Let's go. Begin. Thank you, KDA. We are going to Bonfire, Chain Ash to negate, call by the grave, finger my Ash mate. An issue is the aggregator responding to the banished monster of the Maliss and Underground. If you have a negated detonator, do you detach aggregator to that Maliss and Underground? No way, that's a bad play. But if they, let's say they banish any of the Maliss monsters that's not a March Hare, you chain detach the aggregator, which then on the new chain link, whatever summon, if it's a White Rabbit, it will be chain link 1, aggregator will be chain link 2, or if it's just a Dormouse, it will then just be negated by the aggregator. So even if you, what I'm trying to say is they have no chance at all to win this duel, no matter what they top deck into, it's hopeless. Yep. Corellia. Wow. We're going to Maliss and Underground, banish from the deck, Dormouse come forth, Imperm, negate the Dormouse mate. Well, go spell, if you want to, into an Almirage, into a Splash Mage. There you go. If you're not playing Almirage, this is why you do it. Splash it up. Reborn, back into the field. Let's further go into the Red Ransom. Search our deck for nothing. We're gonna search for a mirror, which is a double disruption stop. We have stopped their ability to negate a monster and non-target banish, so we're left with Nibiru and Impulse. Double disruption is all we have left. X to our hand. Let's return back the star. Gianna, is it Ice gonna give it to you or is it X? Who's gonna give it to you? Aggregator, negate the Red Ransom, which is just Chainlink blocking the X from potentially an Ash Blossom negate. Grab the node from the deck. Sword, Ryzeal, special, grab an Ice from the deck. It's X. X gonna give it to you, yes. We have normal summon Ice into an Impulse negate. Do we have a Destruction mate? We do not. No Trap and Grave, just negate. We do have Nibiru mate. Into the Duo Drive. Now, on the resolution of Duo Drive is when it detaches, which is why you'd want some Nibiru in response to it activating, but it is not under 5 summons. And the Impulse was set, so the Nibiru is not stopped. This is what you could do. You think you're safe because they have 0 materials. If they can, on a higher chain link, attach a material, it will negate the Nibiru with the cross. Attach it. I know it's so weird to be negated not on a direct chain link to the card that you're activating, but Konami had to give Cross these crazy effects, or otherwise Ryzeal would not be a top tier deck, right? Just like we need the Cryptor to be able to negate their being negated. Let's return 2 cards engraved to the bottom of the deck, draw a card. Let's further go into the Ryzeal Detonator, 7,500 damage. This is not enough. This is why the Castel is normally the Ignister. That's 2,500, right? It's 2,500 if we're even playing it. We're not. Where it can get rid of a monster and still give you lethal damage. I have to look it up. I think it is Ignister, Xyz, what the heck is it? 23. Whoops, I guess I was wrong on that. So you need a little bit of a boost off of the Duo Drive. 1 material, you need 1 material on Duo Drive would be enough. And just like that, scoop it up on top of the game, number 2. Yeah, 1 Duo Drive, that would make the Ignister essentially a 2,600. Castel plus 1 material under Duo is not enough for game. Bro does Lancia right away, doesn't even, nope. Okay, you're not gonna throw out bait? Bait, mate, no, like, you know that if they stopped Lancia, you would win the whole duel if they fingered anything else, if they potentially have a finger, right? I guess the fallback's gonna be the Mulcharmies instead. Gold, Sark, banish from the deck into the Dormouse. And what's even extra funny about throwing out your Mulcharmies first is that you could chain the Lancia to stop the finger. Imperm, negate the Dormouse. So the Mulcharmy would still go through plus the Lancia. And do mind that we do see their hands, so we want to try our best to act the same way we would if the hands were hidden. We have double monster negates, and with the MTP, we have to add a March Hare here, right? And then we get to banish the Cryptor with the March Hare, and then only then does the Cryptor turn into a form of disruption. Interesting. Yep, exactly as I foretold. Now, if we read the March Hare, you don't have to read it, just believe me, it doesn't target. So we activate March Hare, we have to finger what we think they want to banish, which of course is going to be the Cryptor. Double monster negate plus a Cryptor that will maybe get fingered. Aggregator, Apollo, negate the Aggregator. So we're down to double disruption. Probably just 1. X Ryzeal, grab the sword. Now the X doesn't activate from the hand, the sword isn't active from the hand, and we are We just fingered the March Hare instead because there's a March Hare in graveyard. I didn't know it was there, but there you go. Instead of fingering the Cryptor, banish that. There's no other unknowns in hand. Now, would you do this if there was another unknown card in hand? What if it's a Bestial? If that other card in hand is a Bestial, then it would probably still be safer to just banish the Cryptor instead, or maybe you would still take the gamble. Finger the March Hare, negate the Hare in hand, and this is a negate for 2 turns. If they somehow survive this turn, the March Hare still cannot banish the Engrave Cryptor. And now we duo driving it up. Can Kawaki perform 6,200 damage? We have not committed to a normal summon yet as we search for an ice. Ice summon for the deck of Star. Star set up the cross. Flip the cross. Summon the node. 7,400 damage, just like that. There could maybe be an instance where the opposing Ryzeal player accidentally activates plugin, then goes to battle phase without being able to attack. Plugin does lock you into the Xyz monsters only being able to declare an attack. Banish with the Pot of D. What did we lose? And I feel like Pot of D today is always losing an important one of. The important one of we lost is the Ryzeal Cross. It's random, so it's gonna randomly happen, but ideally you don't wanna be losing one-ofs that are searchable, which would be the plugin, the Plasma Hole, and especially the field spell. Impulse, negate the Ice Ryzeal. So if you would like a simulation of what if Ryzeal Cross were banned, this is the duel. Cross is now banned from this duel. Gold Sark is gonna banish in the deck, as the ice also got negated by the impulse. The node is not special summonable unless we have an Xyz in the graveyard or on the field. Star is not summonable unless you have an Xyz to detach a material from. Let's GWC. So you could argue that there was a mistake in this duel. Should we have... What does this hand lose to? You have a node, a star, and an ice. If they imperm your Ice Ryzeal, I guess we had a cross-out designator. If they ash it, we had a call by the grave. So in a lot of ways, we made the correct play to play around Ash, play around Imperm. We forgot about Impulse, right? If we know we're playing against Maliss, Impulse being the one card that stops us on no play, thus we would have preferred to normal then special summon the Ice. And then if you make a duo, Impulse does nothing to the duo, but if they Imperm or Ash the duo, we have a call by the grave or a cross-out designate. So yeah, that third card, the Impulse was the one card we did not account for, where we were protected from everything else. Access the codes. We have Call by the Grave, as we are going to be Druid Swarm chain banishing to the Called by the Grave. You're not gonna be trying that nonsense on me today. The red ransom is going to be +2 bodies on the field. It summons itself, then banishes another from the deck. And then we'd also have a Druid Swarm alongside that. So you really have to think about any form of hand traps. Pretend your opponent's hand is face up and try to account for everything. Yeah, Droplet is a way better extra tech, or even playing something like Metaltronus if you were really thinking about getting rid of a detonator. What do we have? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 disruptions, and we're completely untargetable. 6 plus can't target? Rixia, are you good? I don't think we're good. I think we're getting negated. We have 5 more disruptions left. Gold Sark, banish. Off of that banish, we have the White Rabbit coming back, and the White Rabbit is going to be setting a card in the back row before we can even activate that back row card, but banish the White Rabbit potentially, even though it already banished this turn. We're now down to 4 disruptions. 1, 2, 3. We are going to be using the MTP to search for the Dormouse. Wait, how many disruptions? 1, 2, 3. We have 3 more disruptions. We already used the cross, right? Did the cross detach off of the detonator? Where did the cross detach? Why? Why did I? So We lost a disruption with the cross by detaching the Maxi for the reason of we wanted to maintain Star Leech to continue to be untargetable, where otherwise it would be targetable if we detach the material off of the Duo Drive because it would no longer be 2,000 attack. And you know, it still worked out. It was fine. So we minus a disruption to maintain Star Leech's protection on itself, whether you agree with that or not. All right, so I'm told that Star Leech cannot protect itself. Let's read the Star Leech. While this Xyz summon monster is on the field, so if you're reborn to a plugin, it's not gonna have this effect. So it's from the extra deck, and it has to be an Xyz summon. Your opponent cannot target monsters. Doesn't say other monsters, it's just monsters. You control with 2,000 or more attack. It has 1,800 attack with card effects. Also, they cannot be destroyed by card effects. So in theory, if we could make this 2,000 attack, it would be included because it does not mention other, and if it were Xyz summoned. And then the Duo Drive does have the effect of, with at least 2 materials, make the Star Leech 2,000. So it would then protect itself, right? Why would it not? It does. Game 3. Maliss and Underground, banished from the deck. Dormouse, activating its own back. Chain Max C. Oh boy. We did not cross out. We did not finger because we wanted to droll instead. Now by drolling ourselves, we can't Malice and Mirror search, we can't draw 2 with the Chessie, and we can't draw a 3rd card with the Binder, but we get to keep our cross out and our called by for maybe a better negate. So, I don't know. I think that using the cross out was better and we would have droll instead. Now you gotta be careful by drolling yourself early that it does turn off your MTP. So you'd want to ideally MTP early and then you would follow up with the droll against the Ryzeal deck, right? They 7 Tachyon into a droll and they probably don't play droll themselves to cross out designate. Let's see what's good here, mate. We're going to summon all these bodies back. We are now going to Red Ransom as we're going to be chain link blocking the search with the White Rabbit. White Rabbit's gonna set up the MTP. Let's do it. Add back the March Hare. The big question is, are we gonna 7 Tachyon for an X Ryzeal to start off this turn? If I am the Maliss player, I have a goal in mind, and that is I don't want them to summon a sword or a node from the hand. They're gonna set up the cross. So are we gonna be disallowing that? We had saved the called by and the cross out for this moment where we can now cross out the Ash, negate the Ash, as we're going to non-target banish. Probably gonna banish the Ice Ryzeal because returning back the star could be better with the Firewall Dragon or just getting rid of the field spell instead. Exciton Knight. I wonder, is every time a Maliss player getting Exciton Knight, are they accounting for it? Is this by mistake? Do they keep on forgetting that their entire field could get wiped out? Now, the Dormouse says, Maliss links cannot be destroyed by card effects, but the Exciton is not a hard once per turn. It can be used more than once in the same turn, just not in the same chain, but your opponent still has to have more cards than you. So the question is, if we wipe the field once, can we wipe it again? Will they still have more cards than us? Let's just find out. Call by the Grave, Finger the Ice. Firewall Dragon is going to return Droll back to the hand. That's, hey, Droll on your turn and then Droll on their turn. I'm doing it on both. So say goodbye to the Ice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yup, we double wiping. Wipe, wipe. Tachyon is going to be searching for a Lancia. That's right, you can main deck 1 Lancia, and then with all your 7 Tachyons, you could search it if you just put in 1 spot in your extra deck, the Seraph. The sword goes back on top of the deck, it's not shuffled. Let's set March Hare at the end of the main phase, banish the Binder, Binder's gonna come back. This was a popular side deck card. You would side deck in the Seraph plus your Lancias. Let's get rid of that White Binder. Out of here you go. Take out the March Hare as we end the turn. So you could be thinking, why did he summon that? Well, you don't tell your opponent that you're entering the battle phase. You only tell them that you're ending the main phase. And because they're going to deal no damage this turn, they were very likely just ending the turn. And that was the last possible moment to activate the March Hare. So instead of ending the turn, they changed their mind to go to the battle phase. And then, of course, also some of the Typhon. Lancia in the draw phase. That kills us. In big trouble. Typhon versus Typhon. Whoever wins, Typhon's win rate is going to go up to a 50%. 2,900 to the face. We do have Sword special summonable because of the Star Ryzeal engrave. Let's special the Sword, grab the X. As we hit them with the Maxi, we do have the Crossout Designate, but we have the Lancia to stop the Crossout Designate. Not today, mate. You're going to have to take the Maxi challenge. Ooh, who's going to the grand finale against Ryzeal? Negate. Nothing ends the turn. Back to you. Rixie off the top of the deck, we have Druiswarm, which with any amount of Maliss monsters engraved will be the perfect extending play. Banish the ransom. Oh my, it's over from here. What the heck? Ain't no way. Let's speed this up. Holy moly. Drolled ourselves, holding cross out and called by. Return Droll back to the hand was kind of interesting. Using the Lancia effectively against Ryzeal, where Lancia normally does nothing against Ryzeal. I think this is the 4th Meta Weekly in a row where the grand finale is Ryzeal versus Maliss. The first two, Ryzeal won. Ryzeal, Maliss won the last Meta Weekly. So we are potentially going to have a situation where they're going to be even, 2-2, or will Ryzeal be 3-1 against Maliss in the grand finale? This is it. 4th Meta Weekly in a row. Ryzeal versus Maliss. Ryzeal is up 2. Maliss is up 1 for the 4th Meta Weekly. Let's go. Maxi in the draw phase. Let's call by the grave, finger the sea. Not today. Lancia. Lancia's not supposed to be good against Ryzeal. Lancia is in the deck to help beat the mirror match, to beat Maliss, but to also have the additional benefit of stopping Crossout Designate, stopping Call with the Grave. That is insane. Completely ending our turn. We don't want to commit to the field because then it turns off our Fool Loss. Let's hit them with the Fool Loss and then hope they don't have a way to negate the Fool Loss, which is why we didn't commit to the field. Now, hopefully they don't have a full play. Chessie by itself is not a full play. You turn it into a Link Decoder, okay, still not a full play. They need a way to banish the Chessie. They have a way to banish the Chessie. That is full combo. Let's speed this up. Yep, okay. Like, this is literal optimal combo. Optimal. No concessions made. You get the full Apollo, the full resilience, the full protection, the full bodies on the field, the full searches, the full summons, everything. Summon, banish, Dormouse, banish. Any way where you could get a Link Decoder plus 2 other bodies and one of them being a Maliss, that is your full combo. Always try to think, how can I get to that point? And of course, don't get to it within 5 summons, which you would then get Nibiru'd. You want it within 4 summons. The 5th summon, you always want it to be a red ransom. Even if you're passing on a Maliss being banished, I would not activate a Maliss that has not been activated yet when banished, if that would be your 5th summon, because you could trigger it within the combo naturally while still playing around Nibiru. Ice Ryzeal on summon, activate the Ash, negate. Well, the Ice Ryzeal could send any card from our hand to the graveyard to summon. Does not have to be a Ryzeal card. Let's further go into the Duo Drive, detach, grabbing a Ryzeal Cross into the X Ryzeal. Let's hit them with the Duo Drive. No searching for the X. We don't even play the Cross because what's it going to do if there's no material under the Duo Drive? Kawaki, you keep on going first. You keep on getting clapped up by the in-hand disruptions. We have Imperm and that's it. Just Imperm. Rixie would have to open up no play whatsoever for you to have a chance. Oh, we have another chance. Let's summon the X Ryzeal, dump the aggregator, Imperm, negate. cross out, designate, negate. Cross out the cross out, negate the negate. That was what, 2 years ago we could do that? No imperm for you. Grab the sword. And now there's not much Ryzeal could do. Sword, search for ice, normal ice. We're gonna call with the grave. Finger the ice in grave to negate and finger the ice on field. Negate. Now let's turn these two bodies into a Star Liege to make ourselves untargetable. We can detach off of the Star Liege as the duo searches for the plugin and the node. Summon the node, send the Fulos, reborn from the grave. Let's turn these two bodies into a Ryzeal detonate. 8,800 damage, but there is a face-down monster blocking lethal. Let's cross it up, return 2 cards in grave. Let's plug in. Reborn back onto the field, the Ice Ryzeal. Only Xyz monsters could declare an attack this turn. Dugaris. Boost up the Ryzeal detonator. And even if it's an Ash Blossom set, 1,800 defense, we have lethal with the 6,000 plus at least 2,000 more with the other 2 bodies. Taking this into game number 3. The first duel of 3 games where Maliss will finally go first. What the Lancia in the draw phase? Call by the grave, finger the Lancia. Well, we're gonna chain Pirellia. Why are we not baiting? This is the most important hand trap ever. Like, throw out some other stuff. We don't need, I know it's like, well, Pirellia becomes wasted if the Lancia goes through because then they're probably not gonna even summon, but it gives that extra small chance. Ryzeal probably won't finger a Pirellia, but maybe he would, right? There's a chance. Oh boy, Lancia gone. Ryzeal, would you have fingered the Pirellia? He probably would say no. Do we believe Ryzeal saying that they would not finger a Pirellia? Maybe if it was a full loss, we would have fingered it. Because what is Pirellia even doing? It's possibly just a draw 1, at best a draw 2. I mean, you know, Druisaur and March Hare could both come out. It would maybe be a draw 3. No one in the right mind would commit to the March Hare and a freaking Druisaur under Pirellia. So I think giving them just a single draw 1, as you could have the mindset of, I'll just finger whatever the newly drawn card is if it's better. Because you obviously would not want them to draw into a Lancia, which if they do, I'll just finger the Lancia. Splash Mage, splash it up, Reborn, meaning we're not gonna have to worry about an Apollo USA. Let's banish from both players' grave, chain, banish as we summon the Chessie. What did I say throughout the tournament? I don't think Ryzeal listened to me. Ryzeal just knows good enough. You want to chain link block your white binder. Chain to its effective banish. If you're gonna banish something that triggers, in the same chain of being about to banish the card that would trigger, banish your white binder so that on the separate chain it now can't get ashed. It can't get impulsed. Not that Ryzeal plays impulse, it's just a good practice to do. We have Cryptor now here, further going into the Firewall Dragon. Oh boy, we got quite the setup. This being the 3rd duel, let's be a little more in-depth on what they can do and what we should do. We had the Firewall Dragon return a monster from the field or graveyard back to the hand. A really good use of this is to help deny a sword from being summoned. X-Ryzeal will get an Xyz in the graveyard, plus the X-Ryzeal on the field being there. Thus, the sword would be special summonable. So you could use the Firewall with the MTP to help get rid of those resources. You don't want them to special summon a node. You don't want them to special summon sword. So in addition to Firewall helping to disallow the summon of a sword or node, you also have MTP to non-target banish a sword, or I should say a Ryzeal card that would help you summon the sword. And then you have the Cryptor. Cryptor could further help you banish a requirement to summon the sword or the node. We also have a monster negate with the Malice and Mirror. We have a monster negate with the Impermanence. This is absolutely incredible. We even have the Druisaur to banish from Engrave. About 6 forms of disruption. Could even count the Binder as a disruption if you want. So I would say 5 disruption plus 2 graveyard banishes, 7 in total. Let's see what's good. Send the Aggregator, summon the X Ryzeal. We're going to attempt to negate the Firewall Dragon. We're going to Imperm, negate the X Ryzeal, and we now lose. I mean, the Imperm obviously being used, and also the Firewall Dragon is no longer the ability to disrupt. We did not even try to stop them from summoning the sword. We're just going to allow it to happen. We're going to save it for a much later play, which now goes into the Exciton Knight. Exciton Knight, in response to its activation to wipe the entire field, we're going to use the Malice and Mirror to negate. Now, it's activatable more than once per turn, but it is negated for the whole turn, and we don't have a way to flip it face down. Let's add back to the hand the March Hare as we now Ice Ryzeal, summon a Star from the deck. Star setting up a Plasma Hole as we already have the Cross and plugin in hand. We're now going to use the March Hare to banish the White Binder. White Binder, come forth back onto the field, banish from either player's graveyard. We're going to be banishing away your Aggregator, plus banishing our Red Ransom and Cryptor. We are ready with 2 non-target banishes, the MTP and the Cryptor. How exactly and when and what do we banish? Let's grab the Malice and Underground for the next turn follow-up. We now have the Cross. We're going to MTP, get rid of the Cross right away. You could on the Resolution, it does not really matter as much. Let's get rid of that, say goodbye, as there's no way to now get that back. We now go into a Duo Drive. You could wait for the activation to banish it. You don't have to banish it right away. And you want to make sure it is not activating the on-summon effect to attachment grave. You could get tricked by that, which, interestingly, we maybe wanted them to think that we were activating the effect on summon and not the effect to search. Maybe a little bit of legal cheating, I'd say. Let's banish it away. But very easily, you just see in the duel log what effect he's actually activating. Let's attach from the deck, activate on summon to attach from engrave. Let's now send the 7 attack and go into a Utopic Ray Lancer. Now, this is a very special effect. At the start of the battle phase, non-target negate the effects of all attack position monster your opponent controls, and they all lose 500, and you can declare a second attack after destroying a monster by battle. Wait, Cryptor's still huge. What the heck? Wait. Whoa, okay, we negated you, which was reversing our attack and defense. Let's take out the White Binder, activate to attack again. And now, and then the Cryptor, of course, went down. It was just a self boost is going to be lost if you're going to be negating that card. 1,000 life, not enough for game. And our only form of disruption is going to be the Plasma Hole, pop a card on the field. Why did the game show the finale animation of going for game? What was up with that? We could pop this on Resolution, but we can't because the Lingaribo can negate the pop on Resolution, mate, thus we don't even bother activating it. We're going to use the Banished White Binder to come forward back onto the field, activating to reset the GWC into the back row. Let's he gained life. Okay, thank you. White Binder is going to be banishing 3 cards from engrave. Did he GWC to gain the life points? Special summon, yeah, he did. He had lethal on the Utopic Ray, and then he gained 2,300 life points back to ensure that it was not lethal damage. Let's Cryptor activate, return back the MTP, non-target banish away the Utopic Ray Lancer, which would activate at the start of either player's battle phase. 5K for game, and just like that, Ryzeal and Maliss are 2 for 2, 4 grand finales in a row. They are even, which maybe hopefully in the next grand finale we don't have either in the finale, because we're going to have an amazing ban list announced by Konami, which we're going to implement right away in the very next Meta Weekly, ensuring that neither are in that grand finale. Hopefully, let's keep on going. Meta Weekly results. Let's see what is good. Maliss and Ryzeal. Damn, nice. About 50% of the meta, not even, it's just more. Oh my Jesus. 13 of the top 16 is just Ryzeal and Maliss. Okay, let's see the non-Maliss and Ryzeal decks. We have Memento. What are they playing to help counter the top 2 decks? We have Lancia for Maliss, Droplet for Ryzeal. Super Poly, just overall pretty good in this deck. Good job, Law Dispute. And then we have Snake Eye Fire King, Alpha. The main deck, we don't have any specific text towards the top 2 decks. There is the extra deck. And then we have Centurion. We have Pirellia for Ryzeal, or it's for our cross-out designate. It almost looks like that is, and no Lancia, nothing too crazy. Okay, interesting. And now let's fly by through the Ryzeal and Maliss decks and stop for anything interesting. Matrow. Nothing stands out. We're main decking Lancia and Pirellia. Okay. Boss. Fiendsmith, Ryzeal. Magati no Saw. Metaltronus and Double or Nothing got denied the 20,000 damage attack. So upset about that. Oh my Jesus. Rose playing Metaltronus with Desiree and Creation King? Are you out of your mind? Maybach, Double Lancia. Kawaki, Fiendsmith. Not a hard amount of Fiendsmith. Wait, is this a mistake? Okay, the real deck list for Kawaki. What is missing? The second Maxi. Somehow the second Maxi turned into a Lacrima. Happens. So we'll fix that. Okay, and then Maliss. Anything out of the ordinary. Lancia, Allure of Darkness, sure. And then we have Brian, Allure of Darkness, main deck shifter. And we have Yusuf. Nothing too crazy I can see. We have Justinian, we have our Allure. Okay. And then we have AS. We have Ghost Spell up in here, which is quite interesting. Doggy da Boy. Doggy da Boy. And then Fictinium. Ghost Spell. And we have Rixia. Double Lancia. Very nice. Let's see what the tier list is looking like. Ryzeal and Maliss up in here. Just a nice full picture.